if you were to take Demon Slayer and combine it with Cinema Paradiso, Pompo the Cinephile is about what you would get. Hi, my name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So for today's movie, I will be reviewing Pompo the Cinephile, written and directed by Takayuki, Hirao, and released in America, at least, in 2022. So the film follows Jean, a lowly production assistant who works for Pompo, a child prodigy who exclusively produces B-movies. Hoping to one day make his own film, he suddenly gets his chance when Pompo hand-selects him to direct her script that she has written. And she hopes for him to shoot the film with reclusive actor Martin Braddock and newcomer Natalie. So before I continue on with this review, I should note I am reviewing the English dubbed version of this movie. And so if you may have noticed, I didn't list the actors during the little intro of this review, and that's, well, normally a Wikipedia article will list both the original Japanese voice actors and the English dubbed actors, but I couldn't find a list of the English voice actors, so I wasn't able to reference them for this review. Anyway, with that said, the English voice actors, they do give a good performance, even if the material doesn't give their respective characters enough time to shine at times, especially the supporting cast. Jean, he makes for a fun, albeit cliched, kind of wish fulfillment character who is learning how to make a movie on the fly. His voiceover narration does become grating over time, though, as he comes up with a bajillion platitudes about making movies and what's required to make them, and it just gets old after a while. More on that later. Pompo does make for a fun sort of child prodigy producer with a love of movies but a hatred of movies that extend over 90 minutes. Again, I will talk about that part later. Natalie is, she's all right as a happy-go-lucky actress, just desperate for her first big break in Hollywood. And Martin Braddock makes for a fun, eccentric performer who nevertheless embraces teamwork when it comes to a film's production, and he allows creative input. So at one point, Pompo comments that it's too much to ask audiences to sit through a movie that is 2 hours. And yet, a meager 94 minutes, not exactly 90 as the final Meister film turns out to be, even at 94 minutes, this film feels too long, which is ironic because the pacing is super hyperactive. Like, this film is definitely a style over substance. Like, it's got good style, but it just not enough substance. The screenplay requires Jean to give too much voiceover exposition to patch up the gaps left by the fact that it feels in such a rush to get from plot point A to plot point B. And there's a certain irony to this with regards to exposition, because at one point Jean decides to remove a scene from his Meister movie in order to trim the pacing. And I feel like this film should have taken its own advice a little bit. The film also has so many characters to juggle with and give some form of an arc that some characters go long stretches of runtime without being mentioned. I mean, at one point, the film literally winds the clock back about 2 weeks or so to focus on a character, Natalie, and you think, oh, so this is going to be a kind of a multi-protagonist tale. But after, that little flashback is finished and we're caught back up to the present moment, the film kind of just moves on from her and completely forgets about her in terms of, character arc development. There's also another character from Jean's past who makes an appearance deep into the second act, and then he proves to be instrumental in the film getting made. This film has a very awkward and haphazard structure to it. The writing does have a few virtues, however. Anyone who's a proper film buff will find a compelling, if relatively shallow, a deep dive into how a film is made, ranging from writing to editing to just the sheer amount of money and willpower required to do reshoots. The film also finds itself at its most compelling when it tries to draw parallels between Gene's life and the maestro of the Meister film. But yeah, because again, when this film takes its own advice and, in the words of Gene, cuts out characters, cuts out conversations, the film is at its most compelling. But even then, it doesn't quite work, because like it talks about, Gene at one point mentions how films require sacrifice, and yet, I don't know, beyond the lack of a good night's sleep, the film doesn't properly convey the level of sacrifice, or at least rather enough sacrifice. It just vaguely references how he didn't have friends in school, and I don't know, I guess I need a little bit more. It's like the cinema gods demand a little bit more of a sacrifice to him to make his words have some level of meaning. So the visuals are by far the best part of the movie. The film cleverly uses different animation styles and aspect ratios to properly convey different periods of time, and you know, when they're shooting the in-universe movie, the animation style also does a good job of conveying the abstract experience of making a movie in an entertaining fashion. Like, I wasn't kidding when I said this film is like Demon Slayer meets Cinema Paradiso, because at one point, you know, when Gene is tasked with editing, the film shows him literally cutting the film like with a sword and everything. It's like, visually speaking, it's one of the most engaging parts of the movie. And the film features creative transitions that help convey the passage of time and the changing of locations. So though it benefits from creative visuals and fun vocal performances, Pompo the Cinephile is too weighed down by uneven storytelling. So with all that in mind, I will be giving Pompo the Cinephile 2.5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you liked this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, what is your favorite movie about making movies and why?